It is the 18th of January, 2025. The 19th of January is literally hours away. In about 7 hours, possibly, as I release this video, TikTok could be gone. If you're watching this on TikTok, well, goodbye to you, I guess. If you're watching this in other places, it may have more relevance because there may be more to talk about, because the ban's going to happen. Now, what's happening literally is there's a law put in place on the 19th of January that says TikTok is banned for new users unless they, being ByteDance, the owner of TikTok, divest themselves from the app to a American or at least a nation. America would be nice. Because they can't get assurances that they'll get the extension, i.e. Biden can say, sure, give them 90 more days if they're trying to sell themselves. ByteDance is trying to sell themselves. Or Biden can say, like he said right now, we're not going to enforce it, but it doesn't guarantee that they won't get charged, being Google, Apple, or the TikTok folks for it being alive. TikTok's just going to shut the whole thing down at midnight, just to be sure, so that no one gets in trouble. They're going to keep Apple and Google out of trouble because they're great guys. They're just going to shut the whole thing down. That means not the whole new users thing, but any users. Access to the servers will be gone at midnight. Now, how can we deal with this, U.S., as people dealing with losing this toy that we like a lot? Well, guess what? We can look towards India in 2020 as they had their TikTok ban. But before we get there, let's talk about what we're doing right now. Like lemmings jumping off one ship to another. Bad metaphor. I know lemmings jump off of mountains. Here's what we're looking at. Many people are looking for new platforms to go to, and it's not new American platforms that are a lot like TikTok. It's another Chinese platform called RedNote, which is not only owned by China, but lives in China. The data there is not in Texas, it's in China. So they already have your information. But the TikTok refugees, as they're called, are moving off from the 2.7 million that are here in the States to RedNote, joining in droves because it's essentially a similar app. But that also has the same problems. And we'll have to write another law to basically ban RedNote at some point in time, because once we get on there, we can lose our information instantly. In fact, a thing about RedNote, they have more censorship on their platforms. Go to RedNote. You can find nothing on the Chinese government that does not want to be allowed, such as Tiananmen Square, 1989, or the treatment of the Uyghurs. I say Reddit because Reddit, you read like that. It's the Uyghurs. It's pronounced Uyghurs. So bad things that China doesn't want you to know about is not on their apps. RedNote is essentially a homage to the red books that the young communist people used to read in the daytime to read their stuff and learn on communist China. Now, content creators who've built their platforms, things like TikTok, are facing the uncertainty of not having a place to do their things or having to regrow, rebrand, establish their actual followings, which is something to be said about any sort of thing. I mean, it's the same thing about, as radio was dying, finding places for all these radio people to do stuff. As broadcast TV is dying, there seems to be many other places, but they all to be monetized, and you can go to YouTube and, get your Patreon going. But it's not as easy as you think, because you got to get people to pay you directly. You got to have a way to process things going on. Ask Don Lemon what it's been like to transition from what he was doing to what he's doing now. The idea of the Don Lemon Show as it is now, I'm sure he's happy with the way it's going, because it seems professional and it seems like it's going okay. It seems like he's making some money off that one. But it wasn't a transition from doing just a simple interview show with the help of Elon Musk and X, as it, blew up in his face for the very first interview. That is what it is. So let's talk about India for a moment. The abrupt ban on TikTok in 2020 affected 200 million users in the nation and led to chaotic transition period going forward. Local apps initially gained popularity, but larger platforms like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels eventually took over, dominating because of the superior technology and resources they had behind them. This suggests that the platforms will experience a surge in users, news platforms, maybe some smaller platforms out there that you'll pick up someplace else, or the RedNote, but eventually whatever behemoths are left will basically suck all that dry. Instagram and Facebook will pull back more users because it's there. YouTube Shorts and YouTube itself and long form will go back to its dominance because it's already built in to those cases. We shall see. But the initial problem is in about 7 hours, TikTok will no longer be usable, possibly here in the States, and everyone will lose it. Now, for me, my content, TikTok wasn't the main driver of my content, but ironically, TikTok offered me in the comment section for you guys out there with a quick version to kind of see it and go with it. I'll say better comments, not more detailed, not deeper, because you can only get so many characters in those. But the more diverse level of contents came from TikTok, and the most diverse, and in most cases, most friendly conversations back and forth that cut back and forth were on TikTok. And it was something that I enjoyed. I wish I could have found more ways to get more views and more out of it, and even get into the creator program that they have for that one, Creators Fund and that one. But it is what it is. It's a great way to get quick information out there. And as you know, some of that quick information, a bit sketchy. We try to make sure we have as best information as possible and a little me commentary to go along with it, but mostly the information. We're going to lose and be not quite lost without TikTok, but it's going to be a different world without something like that. We'll find someplace else that can easily upload. It's easy place to upload videos to of other platforms. That's essentially why we use TikTok, why it's there. Now, in regards to everything else going forward, it is one less option for people to get their voices heard, get their information from. That's there. One less option is bad. But on the flip side, so many other options, so many other things. And the reality is, for every person out there who was doing TikTok dances before or was giving random commentary sitting in their cars, there's other folks that weren't getting any actual run from that one. So for some people, it's a wash. It's just, it is what it is. It's there. But for us, U.S., the United States, we're going to most likely lose this one, as Supreme Court upheld the decision unanimously, and they don't do anything unanimously, but they did it for this one to say, yes, the law in place that will make it be banned on the 19th is going to stay. Joe Biden has the power to make that law official and just say, no, we're not going to do this, make it go away. He's not quite doing that. He's just saying, nah, we're not going to enforce it on the 19th. It's my last day at work. I'm not going to do anything. That doesn't give a guarantee to TikTok, and they are essentially trolling us by saying, well, if Biden makes sure that we don't get fined, we'll drop it. Because Donald Trump's like, oh, yeah, you guys get 90 days. But he's not in charge until the day after it can go away. So there you have it. This could be another Biden blows up his legacy video, but that's not what this one is. This could be another Trump wants to do everything on his own. That's not this video. This is TikTok specific, and this is us, U.S. specific. When we lose this chance to scroll through mindlessly and doom scroll on one more platform that's very popular and a lot of people are getting money from, 50% of people who basically go to TikTok and scroll for about a minute buy something from TikTok. That's an amazing stat. But that's what we're getting from every single business stat going forward. 50% of people who go on to TikTok, of the millions that go there, buy something at some point in time, or have bought something at some point in time. It's amazing. It's a commerce engine. It's a information engine. It's a place for fun and enjoyment. It's a place where kids can pretend to be adults because they can bypass all the age regulations and do what they want to do with the video cases. It's also made famous people out of people who would no way have any run whatsoever. You can say it about most social media, but there are many people who have been famous on TikTok for random things or from things they've actually planned out and put some work into to get that. They lose this platform. They can grow other places. Yes, they can try other venues and platforms, other forms of information brokering. Yes, to stay there. But they already had something working, and so now it's going to be gone. So you can cry for the people who are losing this. You can be on the side of folks saying, hey, this doesn't matter. It's still evil. They're still taking our data, because it's true. It's still going to take our data. But it is something that for right now, with fires and ice storms and the whole presidential mucky muck happening, all the things that are happening in this world and right here in the United States that can be overly done, overly talked about. We are overly talking about an app that most people would agree is kind of a nuisance, kind of annoying, and kind of just, isn't what we really need to be worried about. But guess what? It's what we're worried about. If you're watching this on TikTok still past the 19th, that means they fixed something about this, and we may drop this video coming forward based on how this works. So thank you so much for watching. If you're watching before the 19th and it gets dropped, thank you for being one of my subscribers, one of my followers. Hopefully we'll find ourselves someplace else again. I suggest you look for the Conversation Project with the speech bubble on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, and follow us there for what we can give to you there. If you're on one of those other platforms, we'll keep talking about the aftermath of the TikTok ban or the TikTok stretch extension, whatever's happened going forward, because it's what it is. It's conversational. It's obviously something everybody's talking about because the news coverage has countdown clocks and tickers all over the place. When they're not talking about the inauguration being moved inside because it's so cold, or Joe Biden basically setting his legacy on fire like he's Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. We're talking about TikTok. We're talking about TikTok. We're talking about TikTok. 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 We're talking about TikTok. So if you're still talking to us on TikTok, talk to me as much as you can. If you're someplace else, this will last for a little bit, so let's talk about it. We'll see what happens if it actually gets shut off overnight, because I'll be more or less asleep when it happens, and I'll wake up to see a new world of freshly growing flowers and just the sunlight and everything going forward because TikTok is gone, or mass panic and chaos in the streets because TikTok is gone. In the meantime, comment away. Let me know what you think about this whole thing and why I'm spending so much time on it. Why we're all spending so much time, to be honest. Because it should just be a silly app that kids are using because they get bored or other things and they should be moving on to something else. But they're not. This is one people are really freaking out about. And some for the wrong reasons, and some for the right reasons, and some reasons don't even have to make any sense. This is the focus. What say you, conversation news nerds?